Back at you with another one. And this time we got a special review here. It's kind of like basically a random review, with how I came about this figure, um, which was through my boy Alex on Facebook Marketplace. Shout out to you, Alex. This is the SH Monsterarts Godzilla 1964. Now, this is the original version. I don't have the box for it, though, but shout out to Alex for selling it to me for a very reasonable price. It's a figure that I really had wanted for quite some time, because I do love this design of Godzilla. Of course, it's the Mosu Goji suit from Mothra versus Godzilla. Many people hold this figure in high regard. Many people hold this design of Godzilla in high regard. The Mosu Goji suit is up there for a lot of people as one of their favorites and one of the most popular Godzilla, designs of all time. As far as the suit design goes. And I'd have to agree with them. It's one of the more memorable Godzillas. It's also one of the best Godzilla movies. Mothra versus Godzilla, So, which I love that movie. That's definitely up there for me in terms of Godzilla movies. I rank it fairly high. It's an enjoyable ride, that movie. Maybe I'll actually watch it tonight to reminisce, because I enjoy it every time I watch it. And yeah, I mean, you could, like, the aftermarket on this guy and also on the Emergence version, that's the newer, like, when he popped up out of the mud and dirt version. This is the original version. And I got to tell you, it's quite nice, It scales smaller. It scales like, in the range of the 1954. We'll bring that out later and compare it to see if it's around that size. But this is definitely one of the smallest SH Monsterarts figures. I guess, Showa era Godzilla was smaller, so the Showa era Monsterarts figures are going to be smaller. And I like that, you know what I mean? And this is just a very, very nice figure overall, like in terms of the sculpt, the paint job, the articulation, and everything. We're gonna pose him and get into it. We'll also talk a little bit about Godzilla versus Mothra versus Godzilla. Sorry. Yeah, that's one thing that I want to get into about that, is that there was a time where Mothra was pretty much just as huge as Godzilla. So she had a standalone movie, and she got top billing on this movie, Mothra versus Godzilla. You know what I mean? So I'm glad I messed it up, which was a great segue into that. Yeah, there was a time when Mothra was very popular. So she got top billing, Mothra versus Godzilla, for this movie. And yeah, let's dive into it. All right. So before I get into this review, I want to just give a shout out to my boy ZillaFan85. He represents, as he says, the bargain basement of the airwaves of YouTube reviewers. In my opinion, he's one of the better figure reviewers on YouTube. He gives very, very comprehensive figure reviews. And he recently enjoyed his 200th episode, which was a very nice Revoltech Showa Gigan figure. And he also owns this figure. So because I'm a fan, I brushed up a little bit watching his review of this figure before I did my own. So shout out to you, ZillaFan85, because he really gives detail about these figures. So, where, these days you see reviewers just not really talking about, going in depth on the figure, or even, talking about the movie that the figure is based on. They're basically just jerking off every ball joint, you know. And, that to me is like a chintzy way out of doing a review. So, yeah, shout out to you, ZillaFan85. And let's hop on into this, man, First of all, I think this is just a fantastic figure by SH Monsterarts. Like I said, I've been wanting it for a while. It's a figure that's just hitting, on all cylinders here, from sculpt, which was done by Yuji Sakai, to the paint job, to the, multiple kinds of articulation on this figure. It's just a solid, thorough 5-star figure, in my opinion, regardless. And this is the original release, which they dropped back in 2013. And in my opinion, they went all out for this figure. They then released the Emergence version of the figure, which is the dustier version of the figure, like from when he pops up out of the dirt and dust, mud. And both of these figures are just going for ridiculous prices online, on eBay, on Mercari. So I was really happy to snag it today for a good price, regardless whether or not it was included with the box, which I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the front of the box. And then I'm going to show you the back of the box, which has several really nice pictures of the figure. I'll also show you the clamshell, so you see the entire packaging. But I really like the picture on the front of the box. It's a grabber. It's a nice box anyway. And I certainly plan on getting the Emergence version as well one day, I just held off because, like I said, the aftermarket prices on these figures are ridiculous. So it's very nice to get this in my hands regardless of whether or not I have the box. And as you can see here, this is an extremely screen accurate figure of the 1964 Mosu Goji suit. I mean, Yuji Sakai just nails it. SH Monsterarts just nails it. It is beautiful. You know what I mean? You could see, like, from the face, which has these floppy jowls. You know what I mean? That's basically what Godzilla 1964 is known for. It's known for these floppy jowls and these pronounced brows, which was quite different than other Godzillas. They also, you could see they eliminated the ears from the 54. But one of the more notable Godzillas, and this is a Godzilla that is playing the villain in this movie, in Mothra vs. Godzilla. He's the bad guy. So the look of him fits that. It's an evil looking Godzilla. It's a tough looking Godzilla. It's a Godzilla that carries a lot of emotion in his face and his eyes and his brows. This is basically the look of this is basically how you first see him in the movie. You know what I mean? When he pops up out of the dirt and mud. This is, the hands to his side like that. That's the pose that you first see him in. And when you see this face and these jowls and these brows, it's unmistakably the Mosu Goji suit. And this is just chock full of detail everywhere. What I would have to say is just like one of the nicest paint jobs you're going to see on an SH Monsterarts figure. It's very simple in nature, but it's just so perfect. You know what I mean? And it's really like very nice, like a very nice charcoal gray you're going to get on the figure. You're going to get Very nice dorsal plates on this figure, which are a lighter gray with the charcoal gray in the middle. You're going to get very good detail on the dorsal plates, in the middle of the dorsal plates. You're going to get that same lighter gray all the way down to the tip of the tail, which is very nice. The fingernails and toenails are a beautiful bone color. And what I think is a nice touch, which really like brings this figure out and makes it pop, is the dry brushing of a green tone on the kneecaps and down the chest. And I think that little green adds a nice quality to it. It's kind of similar to the green of the 75 Bandai vinyl. So I'll bring that out later just to compare, you know, that shade of green that we're getting right here on his kneecaps and on his chest, because it's kind of the same way with the 75 vinyl. So, you know, you're going to get a very, very nice facial sculpt. You're going to get, you know, pretty distinctive eyes here. The eyes were kind of googly, and they just have like a really nice like quality to them. That it's like they're cloudy a bit and adds like a creepier look to it, which I really, really like. And yeah, that's what we're going to get here. You're going to get a bunch of ball joints in the tail, so that, you know, it allows for good performance. I also really, really like the way the hands and claws are done here. The fingernails, the hands look really, really cool. Yeah, they're open a bit, which, you know, is very reminiscent to how he held his hands in the movie, and that's very, very nice. Of course, you can see the folds from the suit. As Zillafan85 pointed out, you could kind of see, like, you know, almost like the holes where the suit actor was able to look out of. You know what I mean? So, like, they really recreated the look of the suit. You know what I mean? In figure form, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that attention to detail. I think here, you know, you can see the top of the head is done very nice. And Godzilla's skin looks and feels awesome on this figure. I love the way the skin feels on a lot of these, like, Showa era Godzillas, like on the 54 and on this 64. It's like a very, like, rough texture. You could almost imagine that might be similar to what Godzilla's actual skin would feel like. You know, it's just a hard texture. And I think this is very nice. Very, very nice. And I'm happy to own it. So let's get into it a little more. Let's pose them and see what we got going on here. Yeah, so I think everyone appreciates these days of SH Monsterarts right here. You know, and this particular figure, because it's so well done and so well articulated. It's just smooth. You know, the tail is very smooth. It gives you a nice curvature, as you can see here. And you can pretty much move it in any direction you want. So the tail has quite a bit of posability. It's a little bit crunchy. You know, you can't really curve it like all the way up, but you can curve it nicely in whatever direction that you want, side to side or up and down. The feet work really nice. You know, the legs go back far. The feet go back far. There's a cut right here at the ankle that allows for, you know, some nice movement and turn of the feet. And the arms have some nice articulation. They're a little, you know, they could go all the way around. I don't recommend it. You know, some of them are a little bit on the stiff side. You got some nice bend at the elbow and the wrist turn. You know, like I said, the hands and claws here, the look very nice. And yeah, and you got nice movement at the head and neck area on this as well, and you get some nice turn and crunch at the torso. But that just looks amazing. Look how nice that is. Look how expressive that is. You know, I really like how the teeth are done. We got a really dark color for the inside of the mouth and tongue. I'll get that closer to you. You know, you can see the inside of the mouth, the top of the mouth is sculpted. And the teeth are really very nice. You can see all the individual teeth here. They are like a nice bone color. And the eyes are well done because you can see, you know, like, especially from a pose like this where it's looking to the side, how expressive the eyes are and how it just makes the figure really come to life. Where you put it in a pose like this and it really looks like Godzilla's looking at you and giving you that side eye. It's the flow of this figure is very nice when it comes to the posability and how it moves, how you can move it. So let's continue. Okay, so now that's about the range of the tail here. You could see, you know, you can curve it like that, but that's about as high up as you're going to get it. This is also about as high up as you could get them to look. You could raise the neck and the head, which is fairly good. You know what I mean? That's fine, actually, because it makes it look like he's looking up. So even though it's not 100% straight away up, it's up enough. And that looks fantastic. And of course, you know, like I said, to move the arms up, it's stiff. The elbows work fine, and you could pose them in any direction, but you want to be careful about how high up and how far out you pose the arms. Although you can get them out and up, you just gotta just be gentle with it because they are stiff. It is stiff at the shoulders, so please note that if you're considering purchasing this figure. But even still, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to be able to get this figure in a ton of expressive poses because the articulation is pretty well done here. You know what I mean? And that just looks great. Okay, you're going to be able to get Godzilla in a really nice tail off the ground pose here. Just like that with a little bit of balancing. And that looks awesome. Once again, he always looks like he's looking at you. And here you can see, look at the bend at the elbows. Look at that. Look at that bend at the elbows right there. That is very nice. It's like a 90-degree angle. So that'll give you really nice arm articulation because of that bend at the elbow right there. You know, the top of the shoulders here is all stiff as all get out, man. That's about as stiff as could be. So just be patient with that when you're posing it. Be gentle with it so you don't pop it off. It's rather stiff. You don't want to be grinding it, you know. But obviously you could see right here, this is a fantastic pose. So you could tell right away that the articulation is top notch. Okay, and you could certainly get Godzilla into a nice running pose. And this Godzilla was a bit of a mover. So, you know, it ran when it needed to. It was a little bit on the more athletic side. A lot of the Showa era Godzillas were more on the athletic side, except for maybe the first one. But, yeah, a pretty nice running pose. And the arms definitely allow for that with the bend at the elbows. So do the legs. Legs work great. And that just looks awesome. And we also have the makings of a really nice swimming pose on this figure. So you can see here, you know, the face still looks like he's looking forward. Even though it's not 100% straight out, it's close. and the way the legs are and the arms and the tail, you're right there if you want a nice swimming pose. That looks amazing. And the dorsal plates really stand out in a swimming pose for this figure. But, look at that. It's really, really nice, man, Even though it's a bit stiff in places, it's still butter smooth regardless, because you achieve the poses you want. And you're getting some really nice turn at the waist here. So you can kind of achieve that looking to the side pose. I want to take this time to kind of show you a little bit better the inside of the mouth. As you can see here, and the detail on the inside, the teeth, the very, very dark tongue, which is I like the dark tongues. That's kind of nice. I like it when it's like more of a blood red. This is even more so. This is like almost like blood red mixed with like charcoal. Very, very interesting. I love that you can have his hands like that. That really makes for a nice pose. Another thing that I really like about this figure is the crunch at the waist too, because you could really make him look far down. Especially if you put his head all the way down. Like that right there is giving you some nice range. Of course, the tail you could bend it up and then back down. So I like that as well. But look at that. That's awesome. Look at the way the torso, head, and neck function to really give you some nice downward motion right there. Awesome, man. Look at that. You can really make him look like he's looking down at the ground. Very, very expressive figure. Look at the arms, too. The way they function brings it to life. So cool. This figure's really top-notch. Now, this is absolutely a fantastic foot stomp pose. Wow, what beautiful balance with the foot, the way the feet work, and how these feet, man, really balance this figure along with that tail, and just the way the bend at the knee, the way the knees and the feet function, and the way the arms move to make it look like he's really in motion, a foot stomping motion. Really, this is one of the nicest foot stomping poses that I've seen on an SH Monsterarts. Look at that. That just looks so realistic. Awesome. You could have like another sort of in motion pose. Just showing you how, A, the balance, and B, the way the legs work. You could really bring them back. And the feet really function nicely to make those legs work. Dynamic poses, I have to say. One after the other. Wow, look, that's terrifying, man. Look at that. I just wanted to show you how wide you could get the legs and the arms and have that nice curvature in the tail there. But damn, does that look menacing, man. That's so creepy right there. And I really, really love the way these eyes, I don't know if, it's something about these glassy eyes here that just bring this figure to life. It makes it look really, really scary. That's a nice shot of the teeth and inside of the mouth right there. But yeah, look at that, man. Yeah, so you can go pretty wide with this guy. Excellent. Another part that I really like is how you basically can turn the head without turning the neck. Just turn the top of the headpiece and really create a nice looking to the side pose like that. That's awesome. Yeah, the functionality of the head and neck is very nice. Of all of it, really, but that's definitely one of the highlights. Also, look at that. Look at the bend that you're going to get at the elbows on this figure. It really, you could almost pretty much make them touch his own chest. Excellent, man. That's fantastic range of motion. I love it. Absolutely love the way you could pose this figure. Look at that, man. It's basically a 90-degree bend at the elbow. Fantastic, man. Okay, so now I want to show you how it compares in look and in scale to the other two 1964 Godzillas that I own, which is the NECA, which is a very, very well done figure. I mean, what a beautiful facial sculpt. Such screen accuracy there. Love that figure. And then probably one of the nicest, if not the nicest, 1964 Godzilla that I've seen out there, period, is the YMSF 1964 Godzilla. And that just looks fantastic. And, you know, to be honest with you, these YMSF Godzillas is how, you know, the friendship between myself and Zilla Fan 85 started. It was his reviews of the 64 and the 65 Godzillas that really got me interested in YMSF, and also interested in owning more 64 Godzillas. So I got this one first, then I got the NECA, and now I'm very happy to have the SH Monsterarts. And I think, you know, you can see how small the SH Monsterarts is here compared to these figures. This 64 NECA is one of the bigger sized NECAs as far as their Godzilla is concerned. And this is just, you know, it's so unique. It's so charming. It's such a cool upswept, tail off the ground pose. This is really like, you know, the emergence pose. So, yeah, all of these figures are very unique in their own way, but they, as you can see, they all have the pronounced brows, which this figure is certainly known for. But, yeah, and they're all similar in shade. You can see here the SH Monsterarts is actually the darkest, with the NECA being the lightest, and this guy's somewhere in between. But this YMSF, man, if you don't have any YMSFs in your collection, which I didn't at first until I watched Zilla Fan 85's review, go and get you some of these. You know, their show of Godzillas are just excellent. You know, it's a stylized approach, but it's also screen accurate and very cool. And this SH Monsterarts just fits in so nicely with the other two. Okay, I actually lied to you guys. I own 4 1964s. I forgot about the Super 7 Reaction Series 64. So you can see how that little guy scales with it, you know. SH Monsterarts isn't too much bigger than this guy is. So you can see he's a small scale. And as promised, this is how he scales with the 1954. So now, you know, if any of you guys own the 54 and some of the modern day SH Monsterarts, you know how small this guy is. The 64 is even smaller, you know what I mean? This might be the smallest SH Monsterarts figure that I own, but also like the most well-rounded, best, you know, just on every level as far as paint job, articulation, you know, screen accuracy, everything else. So, yeah, I mean, it's cool to have a 54 and a 64, and they look really nice together. But, yeah, wow, I can't believe this thing is smaller. When I first got it, I thought, oh yeah, it's about the same size as the 54. No, the 54 is quite bigger. Okay, now what I also wanted to do was just to show you the comparison with the new 1975 Bandai Movie Monster series that came out recently. And you could see the green on the kneecaps and on the chest and here on his head are basically the same shade. So that's, you know, you could say Bandai style right there. And it look, I love both of these figures, by the way. This is a beautiful piece of vinyl, the 75 Bandai. Yeah, but you can see they're basically the same shade. Okay, so Mothra versus Godzilla. Now, I don't have a Showa era Mothra here. I have the higher Mothra, so we'll just pretend and show you how this SH Monster Art 64 scales with the higher Mothra anyway. But I will have to get a Showa Mothra eventually. But anyway, Mothra versus Godzilla, great movie. One of my all-time favorite Godzilla movies. Probably in the top 10. Great story with the Mothra egg and the twins and, you know, the two bad guys. Fantastic, man. Yeah, it's just a highly enjoyable film to watch. Godzilla looks great. He looks really menacing, evil. The the battle between Godzilla and Mothra was really good. That's like good kaiju fights for the time. It looked good, you know. And then of course you had the end with the two Mothra larvas webbing up Godzilla, which was really really cool. But look at that pose too. That looks great. Looking it up at Mothra. But just to bring a Mothra out and give you the scaling, so I could talk about the movie a little bit. But all right, let's go. Okay, so that's gonna wrap this one up. And boys, this is a 5-star figure. No matter how you slice it, it's hitting on all cylinders. It's old school SH Monster Arts. It's just simple. It works. It's fluid. It's crunchy in spots because every figure has several flaws, okay? But the flaws here are forgettable flaws. They're not flaws that destroy the value of the figure. Or where you would wind up ranking it, to be honest with you. This figure ultimately looks very good, is painted good, performs well, you know? So, very, very happy to add it to the collection. I highly recommend it to you guys to do the same. If you like what you see, go out and get you some Mosu Goji from SHM. Like the goddamn video, subscribe to my channel, and peace out. I'll be back at you with another one soon.